This is Steve from Boxing UK in association with Supreme CBD. Jimmy Murray, you've got a nice tan there, mate. It's been away.
Yeah, mate. I've just come back from Tenerife with a family, so it's the first time I've been able to go over there the second time. Sorry, I've been in the last 7 years without having to take the fighters with me. So it's been a nice little rest and recharge. So
good man. It's fair to say you're going to need it with the next few weeks you've got in store.
Yeah, looks like it. It looks like we're going to be crazy busy up until December and beyond that by the look of it as well. So yeah, it's well needed. We got away for 11 nights, so battery's well and truly charged.
Good man. Can we go through the main 3 fights that you've got coming up?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
First of all, Jack Cattle, Jorge Linares announced this week. Fair to say, mixed reaction, Jamie. Can you tell the doubters why Jorge Linares is the perfect opponent for Jack at this stage?
Well, listen, I don't think you can say he's the perfect opponent. You know, far from it. He's not ideal. We wanted Jack to be fighting for the world title. You know, it was a possibility, but then Regis Prograis decided that, you know, to go down the Haney route, and it looks like that fight is probably going to be made. So, you know, what can you do? The fact of the matter is, if it's not a world title shot, then it was always going to be difficult to please people with an opponent, because they want to see him involved in good, you know, top class fights, as do we. Yeah. But you know, I'm just glad that Jack's active. Yeah. You know, for his activity over the last 3.5 years, maybe 4 years, has not been ideal by any stretch of the imagination. And you know, for him to keep his commitment and consistency in training has been the only reason why he's been able to perform at the level he's been able to perform at when he has boxed. So that's a testament to his dedication to the sport. So I'm just glad he's active. You know, when a professional fighter is not active, they're not getting paid.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad for him and his family that he's got a set plan. You know, even though it's not the fight what he wanted, it's a fight that keeps him active and keeps him earning money and keeps him sharp, instead of him just having to rely on sparring in the gym, which he's had to do for the last 3 or 4 years.
If he gets through it, Jamie, you mentioned Regis Prograis. What would be the ideal fight after that? Because you could say in the world's his oyster. He's got the Josh Taylor rematch. He's got Hara Davies, or is it Rolly Romero? If those 2 fight,
yeah, the winner of that. Yeah. Listen, in an ideal world, I'd like Regis Prograis. You know, if you're asking me what my Christmas list is, then I'd say after this one it's Prograis. And I'm sure I don't care after that who it is, whether it's unifications or I just want Jack involved in big fights where he can then sort of cement his own legacy in terms of getting his own name for himself. Yeah. Because, you know, I want him to be not just a world champion. I want him to fulfill his potential fully and be a unified world champion, maybe even a world champion at welterweight as well. You know, I don't want his talent to miss the boat, so to speak. And you know, I'm sure somewhere down the line they're going to revisit the Taylor fight, because I know Jack wants to do that. I know Josh has been vocal about wanting to do that, and you know, why not? That you're in this sport to become a world champion and try and sort of make yourself sort of, you know, that you don't have to work for the rest of your life.
Yeah, of course.
After that, you want to leave your name in the sport and create a bit of a legacy where people remember you, you know, past your career for the right reasons. And rivalries go a long way in doing that. And I know, you know, a lot of the time the stuff they come across like they can't stand each other, and that is the mindset you need when you're going into a fight. You've got to have that mindset, and it creates that interest, and that's what people need to get people wanting to watch fights. So because of what happened in the first fight, because of the controversy afterwards, there's always going to be that call there for that fight. Yeah. So my first choice obviously would be Jack fighting for the world title, but in terms of marketability, that's always going to be a big fight.
It is. Moving on to Chantel, Jamie, expected rematch, Katie Taylor. Back to Dublin, was there any opportunity that Chantel could have had it over here?
Well, no one ever had that conversation with us, as far as I know. It was always straight away. The first thing I heard was they want to go back to Dublin, and it's for Chantel's belts. We had been quite vocal afterwards. Chantel specifically was saying, "I'd like to go down to lightweight for the rematch because, you know, for my last 2 fights, I'm the one who's put all the risk on the line in losing what I've got against 2 reigning undisputed champions, and I'd like the chance to win world titles myself at different weights." You know, I'd said it a few times. She can make lightweight. She only ever went up to super lightweight originally because the opportunity wasn't there for Katie because she was busy with, you know, going down different avenues. So, but it was never part of the conversation. And listen, I don't know the conversations what going. I'm not the manager, you know, and so I don't have the conversations with the promoter. But I'm pretty sure it will be something along the lines of, you know, Katie Taylor's a legend of the sport, and you know, there's a high likely chance that she's going to lose this fight as well against Chantel. I certainly believe that. I knew Chantel would beat her, but I know she can perform better than she did than the way when she boxed against Katie. So Matchroom as Katie's promoters are safeguarding that because they won't want her to go out on a loss. And rightly so. You know, even me trying to step outside the box and look at it from a fan's point of view. I'm a Katie Taylor fan. I'd like to see her go out on a win as well, just not against my girl. So if that's what Matchroom are thinking and they're safeguarding her titles, then I sort of understand it. But you know, of course, I'd have liked it for Chantel to be a 2-weight world champion. But you know, you just got to play with the cards you dealt. And we've been told Matchroom in the contract, it was Matchroom's discretion where the rematch was. Yeah. And it's back in Dublin. But listen, I love Ireland. I love Ireland. You've got a lot of fond memories there from a kid when I was over there with my family. I was an Irish champion myself, and we had even though we was sort of the opposition in Dublin, we had a great reception. When we was there, even though everyone was supporting Katie, it was very sportsmanlike and professional. So I've no issues as such of going back there. I just think there could have been a conversation about, you know, at least neutral ground. Yeah. That for me would have been the fairer one, would neutral ground, and maybe in London or in Manchester or Abu Dhabi, you know, somewhere else other than Dublin. But, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, we spoke immediately after that, Jamie, after Chantel had done the business over there, and obviously you were all cock-a-hoop and ecstatic. Does the fact that you've all experienced that as a team once help going into the rematch?
Well, I think I believed massively in Chantel winning that fight. Yeah. Chantel is the type of fighter who sort of questions herself a lot right up until the day of the fight, and then a switch goes with her, yeah. And then she always goes into a mode of like, fuck it, I'm here now. Let's go. Yeah. And even now she knows and believes she'll beat Katie Taylor. And, you know, that confidence in yourself is huge. It goes a long way. You know, I feel like I'm quite good as a coach in sort of bringing a fight around and making them understand sort of their strengths and the beliefs in their own ability. When the fighter believes it themselves and you don't have to do that as much, you can concentrate just on the tactical stuff. That's a massive bonus. So I know going into this fight, she's going to be way more confident because she knows she can beat her now. Yeah. And like I said to you, and I know she can perform better than that. So this time, you know, my only concern going back here, and I've got to be honest with you, is the scoring. The scoring was too close for me in the first fight. So going back here now, one worry would be that you get jobbed, and it shouldn't be a worry, but it is. Yeah. So, but I believe Chantel's capable of stopping Kaya. I really do. And seeing the way I see her perform in the gym and knowing what she can do, and seeing how she performed on the night, I'd say you've probably seen 70% of what she's capable of. So if she can get all that 90, 100% out on the night, then I think it'll be inconclusive. There'll be no doubts about it.
Can't wait to get back over to that one. Third one, Jamie, it might surprise those boxing fans who don't keep in the loop. Dave Allen's joined you for his fight against Fraser Clark.
Yeah, Dave came to me actually during lockdown. He was originally came during lockdown, and we trained him for a fight, and he was actually on a show behind closed doors in London at Wembley, and he fell through on fight week, if you remember. So
was it Lovejoy?
Lovejoy, that's right. Yeah. Don King wasn't releasing him from his contract or something along them lines. So we actually did a full training camp and got him to the stage where he was going to. So he has actually trained with us. He's just never boxed with us.
Right.
So then when he was talking about coming back now and he had a little bit of a rest away, he was a bit disheartened, I think, because of what happened. He committed himself and done a full proper training camp, which is something what Dave rarely ever done in his life.
Yeah.
So he did dishearten him, but he's back now. He's got extra motivation. He's got he's got a little baby, and that's a big game changer for me. I remember when I had my own kids, you've always been doing it for yourself, and when you have that extra incentive, it gives you that extra 10-15%.
Right.
So I think these fights come at the perfect time for him. He's been ticking over training all the time, which he's never done. So his body's in really good shape, and I've just got back with a month to go, where we can sort of hit the ground running, and we can peak him and bring him right up to his to hopefully his best type of shape in just the right time. So Fraser Clark's been around the block. He's a very, very experienced amateur, but he's nowhere near as experienced in the pro game as Dave is.
Yeah.
And I saw Dave's interview where he was talking about, I know it sounds a bit stupid to say, but I've got more experience than him, even though he's boxed at a high level in the Olympics and stuff. And he's right, because in many ways they're two different sports, and experience in the amateurs is not the same as experience in the pros. It's very different. So yeah, I'm really, really confident that Dave can pull it off. I don't ever think he's fully fulfilled his potential, and he's still got a year or two where he can hopefully show that.
As a coach, Jamie, when somebody like Dave Allen climbs on board, and boxing fans love Dave Allen, but the criticism that's always levelled at him is that he's never taken it serious. He's never done a proper camp. Is there any added pressure on you to make sure that Dave Allen does do that?
I suppose there would be, in terms of, what you don't want to be doing as a coach is babysitting someone. Sort of historically, professional boxers are so dedicated naturally, and the best type of job as a coach is making sure that you manage that right and hold them back so they don't overtrain. Yeah. And the first time I was training Dave was the type of training camp where I was making sure that he was doing enough. By the look of this one now, it's sort of tipped or flipped totally on the other side, and it's going to be the case of me making sure that he doesn't overcook it and make sure he peaks at the right time, which is perfect. It's like every other fighter what I usually train. And listen, Dave's a great lad. He's a great character. I've always had a lot of time for him. We've always got on really well, and I believe I can get the best out of him, because I don't think it's so much a technical or a tactical aspect with Dave. It's sort of making sure he's in the right mindset, and if you get Dave in the right mindset and his body's in good condition, then he's capable of beating very, very good fighters. And again, I'm really confident he can do the business against Fraser. Fraser's a big old lump and he's tough as houses, but so's Dave. And he's got a lot of experience in the pros.
Can't wait. Does it make the fire burn in your belly, Jamie, when we're talking about even just those 3 fights that lie ahead?
And do you know what? I just feel blessed to be in a position where we're going into good fights, big fights, top in the bill, or in terms of Dave, he's not top of the bill, but he's involved in a good fight on a big platform. I feel privileged to be able to be in a position to be able to help him. He's I love this sport. I've loved it since I was 12 years old, and to still be heavily involved in it at a really, really high level is just a blessing. Do you know what I mean?
Top man. Jamie, I have to end. We've had a brilliant week of boxing last week, and then it's been brought right back down again at the weekend. Just your thoughts on the whole Dillian Whyte news?
Listen, this has been a problem in the sport for a long, long time now. You don't need me to tell you that. Something more needs to be done than what's being done already. Similar to the scoring, which we spoke about so much. Yeah. There needs to be a bit of an overall in terms. I think Matthew Macklin tweeted it, and he was spot on. Yeah. He said the sport needs a total overhaul in terms of the way it's governed, and there needs to be an overseeing governing body, because things like this can't keep going on. This sport's amazing. It really is amazing, and it's stuff like the drugs and the scoring which let it down badly. Yeah. And until we get something sorted which is more stringent, and there's more done about people who fail tests, or there's more done about the judging when it goes the wrong way, then it's always going to have that shadow over it. And until we clean it up, we'll never start to compete with the biggest sports in the world. When you look at the terms of like football here, across the world, football is massive now, and basketball and sports like that. I mean, we should be really right up there with the very best. And I think it's the scoring and the smears it gets from the drugs, which is stopping it from being able to do that.
Without naming names, Jimmy, and I know it's Dillian Whyte's turn this weekend, but is it a simple case of if you're caught, you're banned for life? One shot and you're out?
I think so. Why not? If I don't totally understand it in terms of the technicalities of the testing, what they do, but from what I understand, UCAD isn't as stringent as VADA. VADA is the most stringent type of testing you can get, and it'll pick up stuff what UCAD won't pick up on. So if you failed a UCAD test, then I don't know, but maybe there's grounds for you to question it in terms of something you've taken that you was unaware of. Yeah. And there's always going to be that argument, but when it's something what VADA picks up on, which in many cases is stuff what it's really sort of in-depth stuff where it's impossible to have been taken by accident, then I think that should be bang, one strike you're out. That's it. If you're taking a supplement what you can go and buy in Maxi Muscle, for instance, and it's a mistake, there's sort of grounds, I'd say, to argue that wasn't my fault. There needs to be more legislation, and then you can have a slap on the wrist and go, you have a 6-month ban. But if this happens again, then you knowingly do it. You need to be more vigilant when you're taking your supplements. Now you've had one strike. If it happens again, you're gone for good. There's sort of grounds for that there. But if it's something what's been taken and it gets caught under VADA, which is something where there's no excuse for it to be taken other than, you're taking a performance-enhancing drug, then it should be gone for life.
Well done. Last one, Jamie. Can I ask you to be a boxing fan just for a minute? As a boxing fan, who would you like to see Anthony Joshua in with next Saturday?
Oh, mate, listen, I don't know, and I feel for AJ in this situation because he's in a very similar situation to where he was with when Ruiz stepped in last time.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of his performance against Ruiz was that come down when you build yourself up in fight week, you know your opponent, you know it's a big domestic fight, and then you're deflated. And then how do you pick yourself back up from that and then perform? So I understand they might have had an opponent on standby training. You know, a lot of the time they do, in some cases, have someone on standby just in case something like this happens, so the show can be saved. But I do feel for AJ because it's so difficult this now, especially at this stage of his career, to motivate himself to get back up after he was going to be boxing someone like Dillian, who's got a lot of history with. It's really difficult. So I really don't know. Yeah. To be honest with you, I really don't know who I'd like to see him fight. You're never going to please the boxing fans now because he's not going to be someone who they'll be happy with.
Yeah.
So he's in a lose-lose situation. You know, it's going to be difficult for him to perform. He's probably going to get someone who's in half decent shape, but not properly fully fighting fit, and he'll get criticism. Yeah. And it's not his fault. So I really do feel for him.
Jamie, well said. Is the 2nd of September when we next see you?
Yeah, that's the next one. Dave Allen, 2nd of September. So, and then we've got a busy old few months coming up after that.
No doubt I'll bump into you plenty over the next few weeks, Jamie. I really do appreciate your time on a Sunday afternoon, fella.
No worries, no problem at all.
Thanks, Jamie Moore. You take care.
Take care, mate. All the best, yeah?